Hey, what's going on, Elevators? This is Chris Phillips, and we are here for another episode of Elevate Your Leadership podcast with my host, Adam Pelham. Hey, today we're talking about leading through mission. It's really hard to keep the main thing, but let's talk about it today and see if we can help you elevate your leadership. Woo, my guy Adam Pelham on the ones and twos over there. Come on.
Let's go.
Always bringing in the beat. Hey, Adam, today we are here for another episode of Elevate Your Leadership podcast, and where we're talking about how we can elevate our leadership, because when we elevate our leadership, those around us will elevate their leadership as well. The rising tide lifts all ships, and if we are going to make an impact and make a dent for what it is that God has called us to do, then we need to elevate our leadership as much as we possibly can. Today's topic, Adam, we are talking about leading through mission. What do I mean by that?
Leading through mission, man. I think we're really going to focus in today on keeping the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Why is that hard? So that's what I'm about to say. Is that easy or hard? Why is that hard for you?
I think for me it's hard because the culture that we live in, the society that we live in, there's distractions everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And so it can be easy. Even small distractions, when they add up, can become a big deal.
You and I talk about this a lot. Don't let someone else's priority become yours.
Yeah.
And so in leadership, so yes, distractions are everywhere, but even with staying on mission, someone else's priority can now become yours if you're not careful. You can say yes, and they can lead you off mission a little bit. They can lead you to do some things that are not inherently bad,
sure,
but may not keep you on task for what it is God's called you to do. And so what we want to talk, like, leaders often face the challenge of balancing a lot of different priorities.
Yeah.
Right. The number of decisions that we have to make on any given day as leaders is high. Mm-hmm. And we have to make decisions that align with the overarching mission, right? Sometimes that means saying no to good things and only saying yes to the great things so that we can stay on mission.
Yeah.
And before I even dive into this, this is not like a business principle. This is not like, get a great mission statement, stay focused, do all these types of things. I think this is what we see from the life of Jesus.
Sure.
If you would characterize Jesus's mission, Adam, what would you say it was?
To seek and save that which is lost.
And it's a great verse.
Yeah.
He says it, right?
Yeah.
Came to seek and save that which was lost, not to be a hospital for the healthy, but to help the sick, the lost, to run after that. And he had to deal with a lot of other people's priorities.
Yeah.
And he stayed focused on his mission. Luke 19:10 says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." Throughout his ministry, Jesus consistently prioritized his mission to reconcile humanity to God. That was it.
Yeah.
The overarching goal guided everything that he did.
Right.
And it guided his decision making. It guided the way he taught. I often think about today in the life of Jesus. I got to be careful. I think there's people today that would probably complain about the way Jesus taught.
100%.
Do you really know that? Right.
That's a lot of stories you're telling, Jesus.
Man, can you just we want book by book, verse by verse. And that's the way we should do it. Stop telling stories, man. And Jesus dealt with that. There were a lot of other people that wanted him to do different things, but he stayed with that overarching mission to seek and save that which was lost, to make the word come alive to them, to make, what it means to have a relationship with God come alive to them, and all of those things. And he said no to distractions. I was kind of doing some preparation from this, and in Mark 1:35-39, after a long day of healing and teaching, he rises early in the morning to pray.
Yeah.
When his disciples urge him to return to the crowds seeking healing, Jesus responds, "Let us go somewhere else, to the nearby villages, so I can preach there also. That is why I have come." He's saying no to good things.
Sure.
So that he can stay focused on the great things, right? So despite the opportunity to have immediate success or more success or accolades and acclaim, and all those things, he chose to prioritize preaching the gospel in areas that needed to have the gospel preached, which demonstrated his commitment to coming to seek and save that which was lost.
Yeah.
He kept the main thing, right? Are there any examples that stand out to you with Jesus in terms of keeping the main thing that, guide or help you as you try to focus on mission?
Yeah, I think, in looking at his life, keeping the main thing, even the number one thing that we see Jesus say is, I have come to do the will of my Father. And how did he get to that? How did he get to know the will of his Father? It's because he was in tune. He got up, he prayed. We see him depart often. And he's so confident that what he's doing is what God the Father is wanting him to do, that he says, when you hear these words of mine, you're not hearing mine, you're hearing the Father that sent me. Like, that's bold to claim. That's how in tune he was with the Father. And so I think I try to implement that in my own life. It's like, okay, I want to do God's will for my life in leadership and work and relationship building, all that kind of stuff. But can I confidently say I'm walking in step with God the Father like Jesus did in those aspects? And it goes into having to have that source to overflow into him to then go out and do the will. So I think that's key in his life that we see.
That's good. I think the last thing I'll say with Jesus and staying with his mission is he, for those new to the Bible, he's in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Mm-hmm.
He's praying. This is like on his way to be hung on a cross, ultimately, to take away the sin that we had that put him there, which was seeking and saving that which was lost.
Yeah.
He asks God, if this cup can pass, take it away. I'll be honest. If I'm thinking that, I may not be waiting on God to take it away.
Yeah.
If I'm not keeping the main thing, I may try to find a way to take that away myself.
Sure.
But he says, if this cup shall pass, take away. And he says, but if not, it's your will.
Yeah.
It's your mission. It's your purpose. It's your plan that you have for me. It's your will.
Saw it through all the way, because that was the only way to seek and save the lost.
Right. So he stayed focused on that mission there. So here's what I want to do. I want to walk through kind of 3 points that can help us practically, as you and I, like, obviously we get this, I'm a follower of Christ, and we get this from a biblical worldview, but this is true in business and organization or anywhere else. I think you can, use these same principles that are there, but there's 3 things that we can do, I think, to help us keep the main thing. And the first one is this: clarify your mission. Mm-hmm. Like, you really have to clarify. If you don't know what your mission is, you're not. If you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time.
That's right.
And so, it's like, if we don't clarify the mission, then we are not going to keep the main thing. What does that mean to you, Adam?
Yeah, I think that allows you, even we'll talk about this when we talk about distractions and all these kind of things. When you're keeping your mission clear, it allows you to say no to maybe good things, but rejecting the good things for the best things, because you have that background. Hey man, this is a great idea. If somebody comes to you and asks to lead out in this area, that's a great idea, but honestly, I don't know if this aligns with our mission statement. That having that saves you in the long run, because you have something to stand on.
100%. If you don't, everybody's mission now becomes yours.
Exactly.
And so if you're sitting there and then their mission becomes mine, but you got to continue to do it. So when you're with your, say you've got a staff team, you're with your staff team, you have to constantly say, hey, so our mission statement at our church family is to leading people to live the Jesus life. Mm-hmm. And so if we're doing things that are outside of that, leading people to live the Jesus life, then we have to be able to step in and go, hey, I don't know if that's the case. But if we don't know that mission, if it doesn't bang the drum of everything that we were trying to do, then everybody else's mission is just going to step in and do it. And so if I don't have the mission clarified, and even the way I want that to play out and parse out in my own life and leadership, because it's like, okay, my role in helping lead people to live the Jesus life is this, or my role in our mission statement is this. So I've got to know that mission too, in clarity. And I've got to constantly drip that language.
Yeah.
I know it. And sometimes even like key executive team leaders and stuff like that know it. But how often does our church know?
Sure.
How often what does the person on the bottom rung of the leadership, kind of scale or pyramid there, do they know it?
Yeah.
Because if they don't know it, I still need to drip it. What happens with us leading out of mission like this is we know it and we think about it, so we just stop saying it.
Yeah.
Man, we need to find every opportunity we can to reinstitute and clarify and re-clarify what our mission is.
Yeah.
And as much as we do that, and the more that we do that, the more our people are going to be inclined to not make their mission our mission, because now they're alongside of us on mission. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it also helps you not only say no to maybe good things, but it also helps you elevate the things that you're super, super passionate about. And so like everything going through the lens of like, okay, our goal as a church for us is to lead people to live the Jesus life. So everything we do is going to try to amplify that. So not only is it rejecting maybe good for great, but it's also elevating that great. I looked up, even just examples of maybe some of the organizations or companies that we know, and looked up Nike's. It's their mission statement is actually more than just do it. That's kind of their catchphrase, right? But their mission statement is this: to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you have a body, you are an athlete. And look at Nike's, look at what they do. Everything they do falls into that category, where even now they're claiming, hey, you can be an athlete if you have a body, right? Yeah. And so look at how they run all their products. They have shoes now that are designed to help people out. What
you wearing there today?
Yeah, we got it felt like a Bread 11. I'm just trying to keep up with you, with the grown man shoes.
I got grown man shoes on today. We've agreed that the Palominos are grown.
They're grown man shoes. They're grown man shoes. But even now, they've got like adaptive shoes for people that right. struggle to do, things like that. So they're elevating their purpose to make everybody feel like, if I have a body, I'm an athlete. I can go and be and run and be exercise, all that kind of stuff. And so everything they do comes through that lane, and it helps you go further, I think, when you're elevating that purpose.
So here's what you have to do: clarify your mission, right? Whether that's organizationally, or by the way, whether that's your own personal mission. I would encourage you to have a own personal mission statement for what you're called to do. Clarify that. Then go back and see how you're doing. Evaluate. Are the activities and the programs and the things that you are doing within your organization aligning with it? What is out of sync? If this is not helping us fulfill our mission, then we got to be able to cut bait and go.
Yeah.
And so clarify your mission. Second thing is prioritize ruthlessly. I love, John Mark Comer wrote a book that really stemmed from Dallas Willard's stuff on ruthless elimination of hurry. And that ruthlessly is I am getting after it.
Yeah.
That means, and so you got to prioritize ruthlessly. That means you have to know the importance of prioritization in your leadership. You got to prioritize the things that are going to help you help you fulfill your mission.
Sure.
Right. So when you're faced with numerous opportunities, numerous demands, everybody else has a priority for you, everybody else has a mission for you, you are going to have to prioritize what's there. Yeah. By the way, that means prioritize your day, prioritize your calendar, prioritize all these things around what is going to help you fulfill the mission that God has for you. And so, Adam, how could you prioritize ruthlessly in terms of staying in the lane of what God has called you to do?
Yeah. I think this is something you speak into this often, and say something along these lines often. But understanding that you're not going to drift into productivity. You're not going to drift into elevating your leadership.
Oh, you know what? I got my task list done today. I didn't even know I did.
Wow, I did that? That's crazy. It just happened. And so I think that's key. If you can list out the things that you want to elevate in that day, the things that you want to get done that day, prioritizing those things and then sticking to it is huge. Something that you've challenged me with is using whatever scheduling app you have, calendar app, to-do app, whatever it is, not even just Xing it out, I didn't get to that today, let me X it out, but actually having to move it to the next day.
Feels like
it's
failure.
The worst feeling
It feels
ever.
Like failure.
Yeah, no, I have to move this to the next day.
When I have to move something that I put on my my calendar time blocking, I have failed.
Oh man,
I absolutely
brutal.
failed.
It's brutal, but it's good because it helps you prioritize. These are the things that I'm passionate about, that I have to get done. These are the things that I want to elevate in and stick to. If it's aligning with that mission and purpose, then you're going to get better at that as you go. But you can't just drift into that.
Yeah, a mentor of mine, Steve Stroop, he said this first. I don't know where it originated, but he told me this and kind of coached me in this early on. There are things that you're bad at.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that you're good at. There's things that you're great at. And then there's things that you're uniquely gifted at.
That's good.
So you're bad, you're good, you're great, and you're uniquely gifted. You for sure need to say no to the things you're bad at.
Sure.
Just stop. Just stop it. You actually need to say no to the things you're good at, because you're just good, which means other people are also good. You need to delegate that to other people. You're not great at it. So you just need to delegate the good things away to someone else. You need to say yes to more of the things that you're great at.
Yeah.
But honestly, there's some things that you even need to say no to that you're great at, so that you can only focus on the things that you are uniquely gifted at.
Good.
Because if you're great at it, that also means that there are probably some other people that are great at it. Find those people, encourage, equip them to do that as well. And in the meantime, you can do it, but do as much as you can in the areas that you're uniquely gifted at.
Yeah.
And so that is like, yeah, man, we're in a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Like we all have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Whatever you say yes to, you're saying no to something else. So if you say yes to something that you are good at, you're probably also saying no to something that you're great at. Time-wise, research-wise, whatever. And you may be saying no to something that you're great at that could actually help you get to be uniquely gifted at because you're saying yes to things you're good at and anybody else can do.
Yeah.
And so really find those things, right? Prioritize ruthlessly. Go throughout your week, throughout your month, or whatever it is, and go, okay, what am I bad at? You can ask other people. They'll tell you what you're bad at. Ask your spouse, ask your coworkers, they'll tell you what you're bad at. But then go, okay, so remove those. Stop doing them. Then go, hey, what are the things I'm just good at, right? Remove those. And then focus on the things that you're great and uniquely gifted at. And you got to find other people to pick up the slack of where you were,
right? But
you got to delegate that away. And so, man, really, really evaluate your current commitments. Determine which ones contribute most significantly to the mission that you're called to. Jesus could have gone and healed those people.
Sure.
But he said no so he can go preach the gospel to the ones that needed it. He was actually really great at healing people.
Yeah.
Best I've seen.
Pretty good.
and probably uniquely gifted at. But what he was called to do was seek and save that which was lost. So he was going to do those things, right? Yeah. So don't let somebody else determine yours. And then last but not least, what's the last one, Adam?
Stay agile and adaptive.
Okay, talk to me about that.
I just read that. I think of Remember the Titans. Agile, mobile, hostile.
Come on. Right? Agile, mobile, hostile.
Will you ever quit?
No.
We want some more, right?
Sorry.
But this is super important because, as detailed and controlled as we'd like to be, there are just things that happen in leadership, in any business, in any organization, in any atmosphere in the church world that are just out of our control. And so we got to be able to adapt and adjust and stay agile and ask, okay, where are some areas that we can change and grow?
Yeah. I mean, we have to continually assess things, right? And then adjust strategies. You don't adjust the mission. But you adjust the strategy.
It's really good.
Marry the mission, date the strategy, right? To remain aligned with the mission in dynamic environments, right? So church planting is wild.
Yeah.
And stuff changes seemingly. You are flying a plane as you're building it. Yeah. And so stuff changes, but that plane is going somewhere. Yeah. Stay married to where that plane is going and just date the way it's going to get there, right? And so you got to stay agile and adaptive to what's going on. Culture changes, communities change, all of those types of things, right? I mean, hey, did anybody hear this thing called COVID?
Yeah.
It changed everything. The churches and organizations that struggled are the ones that did not change. They tried to go back to doing the same thing that they did.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and you could see that in every industry and trade, but the ones that succeeded were the ones that said, hey, let's see what this means now. I'll never forget, I was on a call with COVID, and it was a group of pastors talking about Easter. This was March or February, March. And we were talking about, well, it looks like we're going to be shut down for a while. And the guys on the call were like, yeah, I think we'll be good by Easter. And somebody on that call said, Easter of what year?
Oh man.
I was like, oh man. And they were totally right.
Yeah.
And you had to start thinking differently. So the ones that thought that way adapted quickly.
Yeah.
Let's get in the basement. Let's get the film. Let's get the studio. Let's get those things. The other ones were like, oh man, well, we're going to be off this weekend because we weren't trying to adapt. We just assumed we would be back, right? Yeah. And so you got to be able to adapt, keeping the mission the same, focusing on that. And you really got to embrace change. You can have the same mission while embracing change and uncertainty and looking at different opportunities and all of this other kind of stuff. Yeah. But you need to develop processes and systems that actually allow for agile decision making, right? So put that in place to where you have, if it has to go through 18 layers before something can be done, you probably need to redo that, right? So you got to be able to have accountability enough, yes, but also agility enough to make decisions on the move as things change. So you really got to be able to stay agile and adaptive when it comes to keeping the mission the focus, right? So anything you'd add to that?
No, I think leaders are learners.
Yeah.
And so the minute we think that we've made it and our systems and structures are perfect,
brother,
then we got a lot longer way to go than we think. And so always chasing after the ability to grow, the ability to learn. Again, knowing our mission, know what we're called to, know what we're specifically good at and called to and uniquely given to by God. But then being willing to learn, being willing to grow, asking questions, we've talked about this often about the beauty of the differences of team members on your team, of certain talents, certain skills. There's guys and girls that are going to want to be seeking after change. There's people that are going to be more break heavy, and that's good. And you need kind of multiple voices to speak into that. So
clarify the mission, prioritize ruthlessly, stay agile and adaptive. I think, leader, if you will do that, you will 100% be able to keep the main thing, stay on task. You'll stay on mission, find out what you are bad, good, great, and uniquely gifted at, and say yes to the things that you can really advance the mission with being great and uniquely gifted at, and say no to everything else and delegate to other people because they actually may be great at those things or uniquely gifted at it as well too. So I hope this has been encouraging to you, man. If it is, like, comment, subscribe, share it with others. But until next time, I hope you can elevate your leadership so that those around you can as well. See you soon.